Hey guys, welcome to a new editing tutorial with me. As you may know, my new Lightroom presets for mobile and desktop just went live today, and I'm so excited about this pack, guys. It's been over a year in the making, and I haven't had my presets up in a while, so now that they are back up, I'm so excited to show them to you guys and to just get back to editing with you. So let's get into it. I've got 5 different photos here, and I figured I would want to show you how easy it is to edit with these one-click presets. So right here we've got a photo of Paris, and I wanted to point out that just because a preset has the name Paris or a city does not mean that you have to put it on that. I wanted to show you guys, if you just hold over the toggle here, you can see how the other ones might work, and I actually really think that this Fiji, which is like more of a palm tree preset, could work really well. So let's play with this one. First things first, I apply the preset. Now what I like to do next is I always like to crop my image, and Instagram sizing is always 8x10, 4x5, so I always do that first so that I know exactly what I'm working with. So I'll crop this right here. Already, I think that looks pretty good. Like, I love the greens in the tree. I love our skin tone. I love the warmth on the buildings here. But I just wanted to show you guys what you can do with it. So if I show you a before and after, if I just hit Y, you can actually see how Mel's dress is a lot more pink in the before. So I want to kind of bring that back. So we're going to go over to the reds and just kind of pull in a bit. Sometimes it affects people's skin tone, so I don't want to go too much, and I'm actually going to bring the luminance down a bit. I think that looks a little bit better already. Then we're going to go over to the oranges. I am going to bring down the saturation a bit because I find it's a bit orange, and I'm going to pull up the luminance just a bit. There you go. Already I think it's looking really good. Now, as you can see, the sky here is a bit blown out. It was already blown out in the before, so there's not a ton that we can do with it because my highlights are already down here. And if I were to pull them up, you see that it would brighten it a lot more. So in order to get your sky back, bring those highlights down. We could play with the whites and just pull those back a bit. So pulling it back. I do want to bring up the shadows a little bit just to get it off of the dark spots here on the cars. And that's pretty much it. That's kind of what I would do to this image because I really like the way the rest of it is looking. So it's so easy to edit with these new presets. I swear it's amazing. So let's go through the other ones because I'll show you how quick it could be. All right, so this one is from Dominican Republic, and you can just hover over here. Malibu, city, Fiji, the palms. Actually, okay, so the palms make the sand a bit pink. The Dominicana actually works really nice, but you could see, like, I could easily use Oman, Tulum. Let's do the Oman preset. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, so right here, already I find it's looking really good. What I am gonna do is, because I'm sitting under a palm tree shadow, I do want to pull down the blacks a little bit more just to kind of show the shadow a bit. And then what I'll do to counterbalance that is I will pull the oranges up a bit just to lighten my skin. Okay. Now you can see in the yellows that my hue is over here more towards the orange side, and that's going to affect the sand. So if I wanted more of like a yellowy sand, I'd pull it back, but I always prefer my sand to be a bit warmer. This might be a bit too much, so I think I'm going to pull it back just a bit. And then you could pull up the luminance to bring it up. Looking good. And then in terms of the sky, I find it a bit saturated, so I'm just pulling that saturation down a little bit. But that's pretty much it. There's not a ton of tweaking that needs to be done here. You can see that I have my split toning already set up. If I wanted to pull that back, you'll see how you get a lot more yellow in the image, particularly up here in the sky, versus if I hit undo, you get all of that blue sky back, which I like. So we're gonna keep that. And I think that's pretty much it. It looks really good. If you wanted to add a bit more warmth, maybe come up here to the white balance, maybe pull a bit of warmth back into it, because it was more on the cooler temperature. And see, I've got my tint over here, always a little bit more towards the pinks. I think that looks awesome. I'm really happy with that. So let's go on to, let's do this one. So this is, this was taken in LA. Malibu pulls a lot more of that warmth in, especially in the skin tone. So I really like that. But we can just hover and see what the others look like as well, just to give you a feel. Oman actually looks really nice. Like, see the blonde in her hair? It kind of brings that back a lot more. I actually really like the way Oman looks. Utah is really nice too if you don't want something too saturated. Anyways, I want to show you different presets, so let's get into Malibu. So here you go. You can see the skin is a little bit more desaturated. It's not, I don't want to make it too saturated, but we'll pull it back just a bit, like not game changer, not too much. It also plays an effect when you're with indoor lighting. Then over here with the yellows, maybe pull up the saturation a bit just to bring a little bit more of that color back to the hair, and pull up the luminance. And then you can see if you pull this green tab, the green will really affect the floor. So I kind of like it darker just because I don't like that really yellowy green. And you could also pull back the greens over here onto the greener side, if that makes sense in the hue. So maybe what we'll do is we'll pull up the luminance, but we'll pull down the saturation of the green. Yeah, I think that looks way better. All right, I'm liking the way that looks. That one is easy. And then see how it happens. If I add warmth, you kind of have to be careful with indoors because, like I said, indoor lighting. But if you just pull it up just a teensy bit, I think it really adds to the overall background. And you can see that my tint over here on the pinks is actually pulled up quite a bit. And that's because the image of the area that we're in itself, this diner, has way more of that like warm, that like yellow fluorescent light. So in order to cut that so it doesn't look like we're too yellow or too green, I added a lot more pink, especially for the skin tone. So I think that looks pretty good. I'm happy with that. If I wanted to pull up the blacks, you could, but I don't want to do it too much on the indoor photo because it will get grainy. But instead of having mine at 32, if I even pulled it up to like even 20% more, like 55, like I still think this looks pretty good. Really happy the way it looks on my skin. Brings a little bit more of a lighter feel to the bottom of this image. It's not as dark, so I would do that. I'm good with that. So this is Oman. So, okay, I forgot to do it on the last two pictures, but first thing we're gonna do is crop this, and I am a stickler for horizontal lines. This would drive me nuts. So I always go over and grab this ruler tool, and then I just draw a straight line across the horizon, and it'll automatically correct. So that's perfect. Then I'm going to go here and crop it. So now we know exactly what surface we're working with. Awesome. All right, this guy, this was shot in Oman, so I think Oman's going to look pretty good, but you can see, like, even though these Malibu and Paris are city presets, Malibu still works if you really want to have that lighter, airy feel to the photo. Jungle, Dominicana works on like all blues, and you can see it really, really gives you that deep, dark olive skin tone, which I am, but I love. I still really like the way Oman looks on it, maybe minor tweaks. And yeah, so we're going to use Oman. These are sunsets. So, oh, I should have pulled a sunset down here to show you guys, but let's use Oman for a second. Honestly, one click looks pretty good. I would post that on my feed already. I think if I had a little bit more time to play with it, the only thing I would do is probably pull back the blue saturation a little bit. Now, that's not going to affect too much the water. It's more so the sky, and I just don't want the sky and the water to compete too much. So that's why I'm going to fade out the sky a little bit more, and then I'll go to the turquoise and I'll pull that up to make the water pop more, because I really think that the water is the focus of this image. And then you can play with the luminance if you want. I'm actually going to bring it down just a bit so we can get a bit more of that turquoise color. Pull this up, and then in terms of the hue, I think I'm going to pull it a little bit more to the green side just to get more of that turquoise feel instead of just the blues. I'm loving the way this looks. Okay, for me, something that I really like for my skin is I really like to look tanned. I know that I am. I just like to look a little bit more tan. So what I do is I take the orange and I take the hue, and I usually go a little bit more on the red side because I'm olive skin. Sometimes I can edit a little bit more yellowy, especially if you see the before and after there. So I've pulled it a little bit more to the red side. Then from there, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring down the saturation a bit. Not too much, like you don't want to go aggressive with it. I still want color, but I just don't want to be saturated. All right, and then if I wanted to look even more tanned, I would pull down the luminance, but I think my tan at this point was actually pretty good. So someone take me back to this time in November when I had a nice tan. All right, that's something that I would post. I really like the look of that. Again, if you want to play with the sand, see how I've got the yellow a bit more onto that orange side. That will really affect the rocks and the sand. But this is exactly, when I remember the Damignan Island, this is exactly what I remember and how it looked to me. So this is something I'm super happy with. Love this edit. Love that you still get a lot more of the orange in the rocks. This one, I think we could probably do a lot with this. So this photo was taken in Dominican Republic. And so you can see city has a lot more pink to it. Paris. Right, I feel like a darker photo jungle could work. Dominicana would work. Ooh, Oman looks nice too. Ooh, Utah. Let's play with this one. So this is not typically the normal photo, the normal edit that I have on this photo. The edit that I had on this photo is actually not even here. It's going to be part of a new launch soon. But you can see like Dominicana would work really well on it, just brightens it. But just to show you guys a little bit more range in the presets, let's go with Utah, and I'll show you how you can make some minor tweaks to still get whatever look you want. So first of all, I'm going to pull up the luminance of the orange because I find that the building is a little bit dark. Then from here, I want to bring up the turquoises just a bit in saturation, and I'll bring them down a bit in the luminance. And then in the blues, I want to pull back that saturation. I don't like too much of a saturated sky, especially if there's water involved. I really want to focus on the water. So we'll do that, and I'll make my sky a tiny bit more turquoise than blue. One thing I forgot to do at the beginning is we're going to just crop this real quick. So, and then get my foot. That horizontal line looks pretty good, so I don't really think I need to adjust it. All right, so this is what we're working with. I'm actually just going to pull it down a bit more. There we go. All right, now if I was to play with the temperature, bring that back a bit. Oh, I'm looking at this photo like, bring me back my abs, because I'm sitting here with a broken ankle and I got no more abs. All right, so tint, I'm bringing it up a little bit more towards the pinks. It also plays with my skin tone, like I was saying, so I really like to have a little bit more of a pink tone personally. And then you could play with the contrast. Because there's already so much contrast in the wood on the left-hand side, I'm actually going to bring the contrast down a bit, just so it's not as harsh. Bring up the blacks and saturation, the blacks and shadows just a tiny bit. Bring down the whites. Now, if you look side by side, my bikini is obviously way more pink, so let's bring that back in. So we're going to go down to the reds, see how the saturation's pulled down. I want to pull that up. I want to pull the luminance down. There we go. She's looking good. And then I want to bring the turquoise water a bit more, so bringing that hue more to a turquoise. And then I'm really pumping the saturation here, which is Not something that I normally do, but you really want to make this water pop because it actually was pretty turquoise. So we're just going to pump it over. Last thing I want to do is with the yellows, just to bring it up so that the sand is a bit lighter because I find it pretty dark right now. And voila, that's pretty much it. I will show you if I was to use a completely different preset. Let's see if I can do this real quick. Pull this. Let's start over. We'll do Dominicana. We'll crop this baby real quick. All right. Now you can see Dominicana already has so much more contrast, and I actually want to lose that contrast because I just find it a bit too much. So we're going to pull that back a bit, bring down the highlights so we can get a bit more in the sky, but I'm not going to pull them down as much. That's already looking pretty good. Then let's see, with the oranges, let's bring it down just a bit. Let's see what we can do with my skin. Okay, taking that red, pulling that down, pumping up that pink. There we go. And lastly, let's do the turquoise water and bring back that blue a bit. So completely different preset, but looks also equally as good. So if I was to show you, so this is the Dominicana preset. Oops. And this was the Utah. Dominicana, Utah. So you can see a little bit of difference in the sky, definitely difference in my skin tone. But overall, I think that it looks pretty good. Anyways, guys, that was just a super quick tutorial. I really just wanted to run you through the new preset bundle called Jet Set Preset Pack. So in there, you do get 2 city presets, 2 jungle kind of presets, 2 ocean, 2 warm sand presets, and 2 sunset presets. And it is part of the preset bundle, which is valued at $3,000. And for the next week, you guys are getting this for only $70. It's insane. It's the craziest deal of the year. So make sure that you don't miss out. I'll leave a swipe up link so that you guys can go directly and purchase. This preset pack is already in there for desktop and for mobile, so you don't want to miss it.